guys turned on your volumes too.
Oh, am I going to get a notification?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, how do I find you live?
It's going right now. It's still like.
Okay.
And now I'm going to also share it to the event.
So share, start a watch party, say something about the watch party. That's where we put in the
caption,
and then start watch party.
Yes, ma'am.
Aiden, can you come here a minute? He's like texting me.
So is it a watch party? Can you guys see mine? No, I'm on Facebook. Can you check for me?
Not right now. I meant like over the.
Yeah, I got a notification that you're doing it.
All right.
And then I just really want to see really quick if I can share it to the event itself.
Now that song is in my head, Angel.
I know.
Baby Shark.
Oh, Baby Shark, sorry. Mom life. So, hey everyone. We already have 18 people on Facebook. Yay!
Ooh.
So just so everyone knows, there is a Zoom link in the comments if you want to tune in through Zoom, if that's easier for you. If not, you can go ahead and stay on all of our Facebook watch parties. And this is something completely new for us. So be a little bit patient. We're learning.
Please be patient.
Please. So let's just get started. So I'm Angel, and I want to just introduce us and get it going. I'm a real estate agent, and I work in residential real estate for the last almost 4 years.
My name is Christina. I've been working in the industry for about 3 years. I currently work as a commercial and a residential agent.
Hi, I'm Anne Marie. I am residential and commercial, and I've been in the industry for 14 years now.
I'm Andrea Megardichian. I have been doing residential and residential income property real estate for the past 5, almost 6 years, and I also do property management.
Hi everyone, I'm Brian McCann with House America Financial. I've been a loan officer since 2002.
So we're all agents, you guys, with Coldwell Banker, Hallmark Realty. We are realtors. We're part of the National Association of Realtors and California Association of Realtors. And we work all over LA County. And so we're here to give you a lot of great information regarding, everything that's happening within the market. But first, I know Angel has a little announcement she wants to make.
Yeah, so this is something completely new to us. So I just want everyone to go into the comments or the chat box. I will be sharing the Survey Monkey that we created. That will be able to get us your information. So when we do our live raffle tomorrow for your $100 gift card from Amazon, we'll be able to contact you. Also, so you can give us some feedback, because we just want to know what we're doing right, what we could do better, because we don't know how long this is gonna last, and so this might be our new norm for a while. So it would be much appreciated, and I'm sending it over right now. So with that, Andrea, you want to take us away?
Yeah, so obviously you guys the reason why we're having, this whole webinar is to talk about COVID-19 and its effects on the market, the real estate market right now, where we kind of see the market going, and then obviously how to best prepare. So I'm going to start off with kind of just what our experiences are as realtors. And of course, Brian, if you want to jump into at some point and talk about your experiences right now as a mortgage advisor or a lender. For me personally, you guys, I think everybody has been affected by COVID-19 differently. Half of my buyers are either, they're furloughed, so they don't have the jobs that they used to get approved for their loan that they had while we were first searching, or they're a little bit scared, so they're, stepping back from it. And the other half of my buyers are like, I still have my job, all my income's there, half of the market's competition is gone, let's go full force, right? Yeah. So we are still showing properties Fortunately for me, most of my properties that I've been showing lately have been vacant. And so we have a lot of precautionary measures that we have to take that have been mandated from the California Association of Realtors. But we're still going out, and I really don't see any prices dropping. I actually went through a multiple counter offer situation, and thankfully I got my buyer's offer accepted last night. So go my buyer, but that's the reality of things, you guys. I haven't seen any price drops. I haven't seen, people not writing offers. There's multiple offers everywhere. I had to go a little bit above asking price. There was like 7 offers that I was against. And so activity is still very much so there. And then in terms of listings, I'm also signing a listing agreement today with a buyer in Northwest Glendale for a single family house. So people are still listing their homes. This one, of course, is vacant. So staging and all that stuff's going to happen, but there are properties still going on the market. In fact, you guys, within the last 24 hours, within the surrounding areas of Glendale, La Crescentas, La Cañadas, Pasadena's, Burbanks, those areas, within the last 24 hours, we've seen 35 new listings hit the market.
Yeah.
Listings. And so obviously, it affects everybody differently. Part of my buyers are going to have to start their search again back up in June when they're off furlough, hopefully. But other ones are going full force. And Brian, I don't know if you want to give your insight in the mortgage aspect.
Sure, thanks, Andrea. So definitely in the mortgage industry as a whole, whether it's a broker, bank, direct lender like myself, we've seen a lot of changes in the last 30 days. We've seen changes with rates, we've seen changes with loan investors, we've seen changes with loan programs and requirements and verifications of employment. So I would want to say that we're still pre-approving buyers, we're still putting people under contract, we're still doing funding loans, but there has been some changes. And let me just quickly run through some of the key points. As it comes to jumbo loans, so we've seen some guideline tightening up as it relates to jumbo. So before you could possibly get a jumbo loan with 10% down or 15% down. Now really the minimum down payment is going to be 20% down for jumbo loans, which in Los Angeles are loan amounts greater than $765,000. Okay. A big area of change has been in the world of stated income and bank statement loans. And those loans, those investors have really pulled back. And for the most part, they've gone away over the last 2 weeks. So whereas before, if you were self-employed and couldn't show enough income on your tax returns, you could go with a stated income type of product or a bank statement loan type of product to qualify. Those types of loans are not really being done at this moment in time. Another, of course, as you mentioned, Andrea, employment changes. That is something that all lenders are having to take some extra steps before a loan funds to verify that somebody is still employed, that they're still earning the same income that the bank or lender used to qualify them for the mortgage. And so, generally speaking, it's an extra set of documentation needed right before funding. I haven't seen many issues or problems verifying that information, but certainly if somebody is furloughed and not making the same type of income as they were before, or if they, unfortunately, if they're laid off, that could potentially cause a big challenge mid-transaction. So in terms of appraisals, as Anne-Marie said, I'm not seeing valuations at this time decreasing. We're still seeing a lot of things appraising at the list price. We're seeing purchase contracts at or above list price at this moment. Because of COVID-19, Fannie and Freddie have come out and said that drive-by exterior only appraisals can be used on a case-by-case.
Are they required, or do they have the option of going in?
They certainly have the option, and we prefer a full appraisal if possible. If the seller's okay with it, if the tenants are okay with it, if everyone's okay with it, doing a full report inside and outside is going to give the appraiser the most power and most knowledge to bring in the value as aggressively and accurately as possible. But in the off chance that they don't want to do an interior inspection for health reasons or COVID reasons, a drive-by appraisal is allowed in most situations.
I did want to touch upon, and go ahead, Anne-Marie.
I was just going to say, I think are we holding questions to the end? Because there is a question on the chat.
We're gonna
Okay.
I have one question that's kind of pertained because I know where we're going with this webinar.
Yeah.
Obviously, we want to talk about where we think the market's going to be going. I have a question here from Nersa Saposhian, one of my friends. He says, is it a smart idea for people to buy homes right now? There's a strong possibility that home prices will begin to drop as this coronavirus pandemic phases out. In 2 to 4 months, hopefully. Isn't it better to wait and buy then? I have my own opinions about this, Brian. I know we all do, but I'd like to start off by answering this in this sense. Studies have shown where in studies of the real estate market transactions and whatnot, or even health pandemics, what it does to the economy. They're kind of V-shaped, right? They'll have like a quick recession and then it'll bounce right back up. And Goldman Sachs and everybody's saying right now, like in the third quarter of this year, we're probably going to be seeing like a transitional form of this, but fourth quarter and the first quarter of next year are really going to be booming as Americans kind of try and make up for lost spending, and they're out and they want to get all these things done. They're thinking, oh, I'm thinking most of my buyers will be like, before this pandemic gets out again, and before we're set to stay at home again, I want to get into my new house.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah, and just to touch base on that. So what we saw for the last probably 2.5, almost 3 years is so many buyers out there in the market that we were inundated. Multiple offers. Houses were going 10,000, 20,000, 100,000. Yeah. Now, obviously, we're in the LA market. I know I have friends on Facebook Live in the Florida market. So those are probably not as great as a jump. But what we're seeing now, and Brian can attest to this, is lending shrunk. So we do have buyers that have gotten out of the market, but we still have multiple offers right now. And we are in the middle of this pandemic, or even towards the beginning of it. So just like Andrea said, she had an acceptance last night and she's got putting something on the market. It's still going. So that crash is probably not going to happen.
Not in Los Angeles, I should say, like, because we do have people viewing all over, you should get with your local real estate agent, because LA is a little bit of a very different territory where, like, there was, like she was saying, there were so many buyers before that we're still having tons of buyers, meaning that, like, it's still going over. So the chances of that happening to our market, taking a dip, or how much of the dip it's going to take or how long, is going to be very minimal compared to another market.
And I'd like to say, you guys, the reason why we've had such a competitive market for buyers within the past 2 years and even now is because inventory is slow. Inventory is still low. It continues to be low. We have less than a month of inventory. A healthy, balanced market has 6 months inventory. And so there's buyers out there that are like, I can wait right now. I'm living with my parents, or like me, for my friends. I have friends that are currently living with their parents, but still looking to buy. They're like, I'm not in a rush. But you have to realize there's buyers out there that are do or die. I got to buy this house. Right. I'm doing this. I can't afford it. You know, people are still actively doing things within the market. And so whenever all this is done, I really don't see there being a dip in that. Also, you guys, in terms of recessions, if you look at the past 3 out of 5 recessions in American history, the house market actually did really well. I mean, it jumped up. They did really well. And for millennials, I will have to say, Anne-Marie, she's our favorite. Okay, Anne-Marie's a great agent. She comes with a lot of knowledge. But as millennials, the rest of us, most of my people that are my age, the only recession they saw was the 2008 to 9, 10, 12, right? And that was caused directly due to the housing market. You know what I mean? People were getting loans that you were like, oh, you have a pulse? okay, you're approved.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're ready to go. And so a lot of people default. I mean, it was caused directly from the real estate
Which is
market,
why it crashed.
which
But
is
the
why
last-
it crashed.
yeah, but the
Like
last,
every other recession, you see the housing market doing really, really well.
Mhm.
And luckily, you guys, this is not like an economical thing. This is an event, a pandemic that is here and it's going to be gone. We don't know how long, but it will be gone.
but that kind of like goes into like we brought up some things that go into like the next point, right? So some people might not know this, but real estate is considered essential service here in California and many other states too. So check with your state. That was a recent change that happened, but our team and our company are not taking what's happening with the coronavirus lightly by any means, and we want to make sure that we're doing our moral responsibility to protect the health and safety of everyone around us, our clients, society, our seller, like everyone, buyers, sellers, our agents, everything. So what does that mean? This is a new, for me, I think it's a new and fun and exciting time. Anne-Marie might say no because she's like, the internet. That's why she has us. But like we're just taking real estate virtual in every aspect that we can, right? So like virtual open houses, virtual showings, virtual consultations via Zoom, like this platform that we've really got to know recently, and I think a lot of people have. We're doing virtual meetings. Like he said, we're doing drive-by appraisals, you know? So it's like, this is crazy. I feel like this is the future of real estate anyways, where a lot of things are going to turn into virtual, and this might be a better norm. But we're ready to go, and we're adapting and we're moving. And there's definitely circumstances where we're still doing showings. And even then, we're definitely well equipped and very precautious to protect our clients and ourselves. And with that being said, I know a lot of people on here aren't understanding like the real estate terms. So we're realtors and not real estate agents. So we fall underneath CAR, which is California Association of Realtors, and NAR, which is National Association of Realtors. And so they're trying to protect us. So we have very strict guidelines that are put in place. So just know if you are ready or you want to get started or you want to see where you're at in the market, that because the real estate market is still moving, that we're not just saying, oh my gosh, we're not gonna make sure that we're being smart about it. We're very, very smart about it, and we're making it virtual in any way we can, and we're here for you guys. But it's still happening, and we're being, the best that we can, and it's changing every day. So we'll just keep you informed on how that changes every single day.
Absolutely.
It's funny, you guys, really quickly. I do see there are some realtors that are like, we are not an essential business. We should be staying home. I'm like, you can stay home. I can, if you want to give your clients to me, I'll take better care of them, first of all. And second of all, there are some people that are scared. Honestly, I think if I take the right precautions, I will do what I need to do for my clients. You know what I mean? Make sure we're all safe in the meantime.
Yeah, and to touch on that, I see that too, because like we're on a million different Facebooks with other agents, and we see it across the country. It's very one way or the other. But something to keep in mind, especially because we are in LA and a lot of people watch, the HGTVs and the $1 million listings. There are, older clients out there that have to sell their house because all their money was in the stock market. They just lost it and they've got nothing right now. So they have to sell their home. You might have somebody who is a renter who the owner's selling the home and they have to move. So keep in mind that we're essential because people need a place to live. Yeah. And it's not all the glitz and glamour of the $30 million homes and the $5 million homes. I mean, there are people that have to sell their homes. And so we are all at home. I mean, you can see we're all at our homes and we're doing the social distancing. But when you've got a someone's grandparents that have to sell their home because they've lost everything, you put on that mask, you put on the gloves, you put on the booty, and you go and you help them.
Yeah.
So I agree.
We will, like Andrea said, just send them our way.
We're always here for you guys.
Yeah. We're happy to help everybody.
Yeah. So with that being said, just because of the sake of time, and I know everyone's attention spans and things are going on at home, so it gets a little crazy for everyone. Christina, do you want to take us away with our next topic?
Absolutely. Hey guys. So just wanted to quickly touch up on credit checks and how essential it is to stay on top of it. So the federal law allows you to actually get a free credit report from all 3 agencies every 12 months. An easy place to do that from home that I would recommend is annualcreditreport.com. Obviously, your lender, Brian, you can chime in on this. I think that the rates that you guys would apply, would probably be differently.
It would be different, yeah.
Yeah, they would.
Yeah, I mean, typically when somebody gets a consumer report, whether it's Credit Karma or myfico.com or National Credit Report, the scoring system is typically different than when a bank or a lender looks at that credit. So the scoring isn't always the most accurate. It can be sometimes apples to oranges. But Christina, what you were talking about with credit, one thing that I do want to mention, if you are a homeowner or a borrower that's considering some sort of forbearance or deferment on your mortgage, I would really, really encourage you that it's necessary to talk to the mortgage servicer, whoever you make your payment to every month, whether it's Bank of America or Chase or Wells Fargo or NationStar or Cenlar. Check with the servicer and get something in writing, whether it's email or fax, that you are allowed to defer your payments. Because if you just stop making payments, you're probably going to be reported as late on your mortgage, and that can have a devastating effect on your credit scores. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah, it was my next tip was going to say, get with your lender, figure out your options on how to keep your credit up to par. Some people think that they should just close all their credit card accounts and stop paying for things, but no,
don't do that.
No, don't do that. Don't do that. What you want to do is actually keep those open and keep paying and be on time, right? And so, another important tip to know is that if you are having credit issues, to get with a credible credit repair company who can help assist you in that process.
Actually doing, it's a fun time to say, we'll be doing one upcoming where we bring on someone to answer all your guys' questions. So we'll get into that further because there's so many things that go on with credit.
Yeah.
So Brian, what's the lowest credit score currently required to get a home mortgage?
Well, it depends on the product type. I would say for jumbo financing, the minimum credit score is 680. We might see that raise up to 700 if, the environment continues to change. With FHA, we used to be able to do FHA loans with a 580 credit score or 600, but the FHA as a program is tightening up a little bit, and those minimum requirements are being raised to 660 or in some cases 680. For conventional financing, I'm doing a loan right now where somebody's putting down 30% down and they have a 625 credit score, and we can still get that done. So I would say on conventional, it's really 620, but I preface that by saying it's a bit of a moving target. And if things continue to tighten up or change, we might see some more strict requirements. And that kind of goes back to what Anne-Marie was saying, is that, is this or is this not a good time to buy? Well, I can tell you, having gone through the 2007, 2008, period of the recession and lending changing, especially for buyers that are putting less than 20% down, maybe they're only putting 3% down or 5% down. I don't know exactly what's going to happen with prices and with this market, but it's very, very possible that those types of loan programs could get more strict. So if you qualify today and rates are still really good today, I don't know if they're going to qualify in 3 months or 6 months. So that has to be considered. If you're a buyer, it's not just the price change, but will you be able to get financing 3 months from now or 6 months from now?
Right. That makes complete sense. Thank you so much for that information, Brian. I just wanted to add to everyone who's joined in that we did leave a link for our Survey Monkey. We'd love it if you guys filled it out. It would be super helpful to us. And also that's how we're going to pick our lucky winner to win our $100 Amazon gift card. So make sure to fill that out before the end, or, afterwards is fine as well. So thank you guys for attending once again.
My turn.
Yeah.
So the whole reason that we're having this panel is because we're all quarantined at home. We're, stay at home guidelines for almost everyone in the country now. So some of the bullet points that we're bringing up is something that you guys can do while you're at home. So like Christina said, check your credit score, make sure that when you pull it, there's not, something that you paid off 6 years ago, it's still showing up, or 2 years ago.
And if they're, make sure you dispute them and such, so that you don't, you want to stay on top of that as well, so that you can keep an eye on if anything that isn't yours that is negatively affecting you. You can go ahead and do that,
And so when Brian or your lender pulls everything, they pull your credit score. So start working on that now. The second thing that you're going to need is a down payment. So I'm going to touch base really on down payments. Now, there are programs out there. You can buy a house with 0% down, and you can buy a house all the way up to 100% down, all cash. But traditionally, what we call a conventional mortgage is going to be 20% down. So if you have 20% of whatever your purchase price is, that is what you're going to try to save for. Now, if you don't have, if you're in the LA market, and an average house, California average houses, I think, are 600,000 right now. So if you don't have 20% of that, there are options. A lot of people that we see get gifts. You can either get it from your family. Brian, help me out here. What else are legal gifts that you can get when you are, purchasing and you do need a down payment?
Fiance, family, cousin. In some cases, potentially the employer can provide a gift.
Okay.
Typically, we see it from family: mom, dad, uncle, brother, sister, cousin. That's most typical.
And that needs to be documented in a letter.
Yeah, it's going to be a gift letter that the buyer would sign and the donor would sign. And in most cases, the easiest way to document the transfer of money is to have the donor wire the gift funds directly into escrow. So it usually doesn't even need to go through the borrower's account. It can be just wired from mom and dad's account, for example, to the escrow company.
Perfect. So this is a great time to start hitting up your family for gift money, and start calculating how much you need. If you do a conventional loan, it's 20% down, but there are down payment assistance programs out there. Like Brian said earlier, your employer might have one. So, check with your employer. You never know. It might not be listed on their list of benefits. Reach out to the HR department. There are nonprofit organizations out there. So if you Google your city nonprofit down payment assistant, it should give you a list of different nonprofits. And there are government agencies out there. So there are definitely programs. And if you are in the military, VA, I actually just closed a VA loan. Yay, Angel. Angel's the veteran. VA is 0% down. My last closing was with a VA buyer. So, and then there is doctors programs, I believe, Brian, are there doctor programs that have 0% down if you qualify? I'm not sure if those are still around.
Yeah, there's some doctor programs. We offer doctor programs. Different banks offer doctor loan programs. It's not really 0% down, but it's typically, let's say, 5 to 10% down, typically on jumbo loans. So typically a jumbo loan would require 20% down in this current market, but for physicians, people that are, typically within 3 years out of residency or fellowship, they have the benefit of getting jumbo financing at a really good rate with less than a 20% down payment, typically 5% down, and typically no mortgage insurance too. So it's a very niche program, but it's great. It's great.
So the point of, talking about credit scores now, looking at down payment, we're home, right? We've got the extra time. We can't go to dinner, can't go to the movies. So look up the down payment options that are available to you and reach out to any of the 5 of us on this call. We have met with lenders that have 0% down, and there's options. Angel and I actually, went on a meeting where you could find a condo in downtown LA for $500,000, and you can get in there with, what was it, like $500 cash to get in. So the programs are out there. Now's the time to look for them, and definitely reach out to us. We can absolutely help you with
I
that.
do want to make a really quick clarification, Emery and Brian, of course. 20% is not necessarily the only conventional loan. There are 5% conventional loans, right?
Yeah.
5% down, 10%
Yeah, absolutely.
down.
So you could do 3% down conventional. So you don't even have to go FHA. You could do 3% down conventional up to loan amounts of about 510,000, or you could do 5% down conventional up to loan amounts roughly 765,000 loan amount. So
Yeah.
you could, theoretically you could buy $800,000 house with 5% down and get conventional financing.
Great point, Andrea. Yeah, a really good point. And so, Brian, will you just touch on the difference between conventional versus FHA?
Yeah, definitely, Emery. So traditionally,
And
FHA,
if you don't mind, how they've been affected by the COVID pandemic.
Yeah, great point. So traditionally, FHA has been more lax and more easy when it comes to credit scores and allowing a higher debt to income ratio than conventional. The flip side of FHA is that there's a few different types of mortgage insurance, one that's financed into the loan amount and one that's paid on a monthly basis with FHA. So in some ways it can be a little bit more expensive. That's traditionally. Now what's happening in the last couple of weeks is FHA is still a little bit more lax, but it's getting tighter. It's getting more like conventional because of a variety of factors. Conventional financing, however, has a little bit more strict guidelines. So the debt to income ratio typically has to be a little bit lower. But the flip side is if you're putting less than 20%, conventional financing typically has less expensive mortgage insurance. So the conventional financing typically is less expensive. Another big difference is that with FHA, if somebody's looking to buy a condo, the HOA itself needs to be FHA approved. And most are not, many are not. So if you are a buyer putting 3% down or 5% down, and you want to buy a townhome or a condo or anything with an attached wall, it's probably best to try to do conventional financing as opposed to FHA, or in some cases even VA, because VA and FHA requires the HOA to be certified FHA or VA approved.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much for that. Andrea, do you want to talk about investment property?
Yeah, let's talk about it. Is it a good time? People are like, Andrea, is it a good time for me to number one, buy property, which we touched upon, but specifically because I do work with investors, I want to touch on this. Let's be real. Anybody who has ever bought an investment property has been happy throughout the years. It's not something that depreciates. It always appreciates in value. Right now, there's pros and cons. Is it a good time? Yes, and maybe no, depending on the type of buyer that you're at, that you are. Right now, rates are really low. The competition is a little bit less. Yeah, we're still seeing multiple offers, depending on the price point that you're looking at, of course. So that's working, in your favor. And let's just say this is not like a 1031 exchange. A 1031 exchange, you guys, is obviously if you haven't lived in a property out of the past 5 years consecutively, then you're gonna have to buy another property of equal or higher price so that you're not hit with capital gains tax. That we can do a whole nother seminar on, but let's just assume this is not a 1031 exchange. If you have a job and you're comfortable with, your payments and your security of your job, I say go for it, but it depends. Are you an experienced investor? Do you have cash flow in other departments? Are the only other types of investments that you have properties like commercial properties, restaurants, apartment complexes? The fear of some of these people is, all right, well, what if my tenants don't end up paying, right? You're still responsible for paying your mortgage, right? Yeah, there could be programs here and there, but at the end of the day, you're still gonna owe that money. So do you have enough cash to ride this through? Or, is it something that you should probably reconsider when, you're making a decision whether to go forward right now? You have to think about it. Do I have the cash right now, or should I invest my cash somewhere else? Each investor, you guys, has to judge on their own because they know their cash flow, they know their capabilities and what they're able to do. And I wanted to touch, I don't know if one of my friends is on here, he's looking for a property with an ADU. Brian, I know Fannie and Freddie, they don't allow the use of the ADU, the income, as like for their application for a loan, right?
Well, yes and no. If somebody is going to buy the property as an investment, non-owner occupied loan transaction, then 75% of the ADU income can actually be used, okay? However, most of the time we're dealing with owner occupied buyers that want to move into the main house or move into the back house and then rent out the other space. That at this time is not allowed per Fannie and Freddie. So, and it's important to also mention, there is a big distinction in the world of lending between a true duplex zoned R2 and showing duplex on title versus a house with an ADU. That's still going to be typically zoned R1. It's going to show on title as a single family home, and then it's going to have an accessory unit. So two very different things in the world of loans.
Sure. Yeah, so in terms of investment, you guys, it really just depends per person. If you are looking to invest, I encourage you to reach out to either one of us and talk about, what your situation is and get advice. Talk to, your advisors, your realtors, your mortgage, your team that's going to be protecting you through this. Obviously, there is some, we have some crazy things going on.
And
Wow.
The comments right now.
we'll be blocking this account somehow, so we're working on that right now.
Oh no, it's for everyone.
Yeah, everyone can see it. We need to turn the chat off right now.
Yeah. Okay, we'll turn the chat off. Sorry, guys. There's some idiots out there that are having fun, I guess.
Well, we just
Everybody's bored at home. This person found it necessary to do it this way, I guess.
But I just turned off all participants. No one can comment. So for right now, until this person.
Yeah. Okay. So either way, obviously it depends on, who it is, who you are, what type of buyer you are, your experience and your cash flow. But rates are low. Not as much competition, I guess you can say, outside. So talk to us and we'll definitely be able to give you a little bit more specialized, specific advice.
Sorry, I was just trying to make sure that everything was turned off.
Yeah, I turned mine off. So make sure you guys turn yours off as well. Where it says,
no one can comment.
okay, perfect.
Perfect. Sorry, where did we leave off? I was just trying to make sure that was handled.
It just keeps going. I just keep looking at it. So Andrea was finishing up with investments. So do we want to move on to Brian to go over the loan process? And once people are home, getting their credit scores up, once they're getting their down payment together, Brian, do you want to kind of touch base on the overview of the loan process?
Sure.
Yeah, in the sense of can you do it okay, say I'm your client and I reach out to you, what exactly should they expect from you?
Yeah, so what I would say is my advice today on April 2nd would be the same advice I would have in January or December of last year, which is I think preparation is key, and getting your documents organized, talking to one or two lenders probably well ahead of time is a good idea for many reasons. One, you want to educate yourself as to what are your options, what can you expect in terms of payments and property taxes and home insurance and closing costs. And so the pre-approval process is really good for about 6 months. And if it has to extend beyond 6 months, it's very easy to update the pre-approval and get it updated and renewed. But it's not something that I would encourage buyers. Don't be afraid of the process. There's no obligation to it. There's no cost for it. And really, it's a service provided to you and your agent to help get you prepared so that you know exactly what to expect in terms of what you're approved for, what your payments are going to be. So that way, your agent can find you the right home at the right price, and you'll be in a position to make an aggressive offer, which in this market is still very important. You want to be prepared, and you want to communicate to the seller and the listing agent that you are prepared and organized and ready to go, because it's still very competitive. So in terms of documentation, what typically happens is we need to see some financials. And so those financials can vary a little bit from customer to customer, depending if they're self-employed or depending on what type of business they're in or what line of work they're in. But typically speaking, it's going to be the most recent 2 years of taxes, the most recent 2 years of W-2s, the most recent 3 paycheck stubs, if applicable, and the most recent 2 months of bank statements, so that we can see what is the income and where is the down payment coming from, and what's the residence history, what's the job history, and we do need to see a credit report. That's a part of the process that should have zero impact on somebody's score. So you shouldn't be too concerned about having 1 or 2 credit checks during this process. Of course, you want to avoid having too many. You don't want to have 10 or 15, but getting your credit checked is good for the lender so that they can evaluate your file and get you approved. But it's also good for the consumer because they need to know, what is the current score? Are there any mistakes maybe on the credit that can be easily fixed, like maybe a small, $25 medical collection that they didn't know about, that insurance didn't cover, but given time, we can get that removed. And there might be ways, if your credit score isn't perfect, there might be some ways that within 10 or 14 days or 20 days that we can find some strategies to get the score up, which is going to result in a better payment, better rates. And so again, I think preparation is really always key in this process, now more than ever.
That's so useful.
Yeah, thank you so much.
You guys have any other questions on what he just the whole process? Anything else that you want him to highlight? He is the expert.
Yeah, obviously before you make any moves, especially if you're already approved for a loan, go ahead and talk to your loan officer. Don't close out any credit cards, don't open new credit cards, don't buy a bunch of new things. But obviously, having that good relationship with your lender and having them give you advice is really going to keep you safe within this entire thing. Because obviously in an escrow, you have a deposit at hand that you want to make sure you're protecting at all costs for if for some reason the transaction that you're in doesn't, pull through.
Right.
It's very important who you have on your team, and your team is your lender, your real estate agent. It could be someone that's helping you with credit repair, your whole entire financial team, your financial advisor. Am I missing anyone?
Moral support. No. Yeah, family, friends.
But yeah, so overall, I think we touched on everything. I think there were a few questions, so let me just check.
Yeah, go to the top. So we have a question here from, let's see, from Brooklyn.
Yeah.
She says, good afternoon, or I'm assuming she. Yeah, my husband and I live in Arizona, but I've been discussing making the big move this year. I do wonder if the stimulus check being sent soon, is it also relevant to going towards a down payment? There are no stipulations. So anybody want to touch in on that specifically?
I mean, as far as I know, from a lending perspective, that stimulus check could be applied towards down payment or closing costs.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Any other questions that you guys have?
I see also, let's see.
Obviously, we've stopped all the comments from coming in.
Yeah.
So if you guys can, if you have any questions, maybe do it on, Do it on
live on Facebook.
Yeah, do it on the Facebook.
Yes.
Or any watch parties that you're in, we'll go ahead and answer those
Yeah. So
from there. And if not within this time, then, obviously we'll see them and we'll definitely answer your questions. That's the whole reason why we're doing this.
yes. So just, we are here. And then anytime afterwards too, if you have any questions, obviously we're always here to answer them and we're always available. So,
And really quick, don't forget to fill out the Survey Monkey. I'm gonna send it again.
Right, we're giving out.
If you happen to not be able to find the survey, the whole point of the survey is, one, for us to get feedback, again, because we're new at this. This is like whole uncharted waters for us too. This whole Zoom webinar, Facebook Live, all of these, different things. So we want to know how we could do better, so we could do more of these, since we're probably going to be doing virtual things for quite some time in the future. And so please fill it out so we can contact you when we do our raffle, and so we can get your feedback. Anything else you guys want to add before we?
thank you guys so much for tuning
Yeah, no, thank you.
in.
And just to recap, if you guys have the time, pull your credit, start thinking about down payment, reach out to any of the 4 of us regarding your real estate questions, and to Brian for lending. We are here to answer questions, virtually show homes. We are available for you guys.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Brian, for your time. And
Thank
we
you.
appreciate that. Sorry we had to turn off the chat box, but I promise that we will get to you and get questions.
Yes, any questions, so just go ahead and shoot them over to us. Thank you so much for attending, guys. Really appreciate it.
Have a
Thank
wonderful day, guys.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.